Nicki don't need to worry
A
about
lot of
Don.
this.
She need to be with damn Don Lennon. Nicki Minaj need to be worried about Chris Hansen.
Yesterday, U.S. Weekly broke the news that Nicki Minaj's house is at risk of being seized due to a lawsuit.
Under Trump's rules, she should be deported because I don't think, reportedly, that she is a legal citizen here. She is undocumented.
When DL Hughley grabbed a microphone and said what he said about Nicki Minaj, the internet didn't just react. It split in half. Because this wasn't a light joke. This wasn't casual commentary. This was a full-on, no-filter, gloves-off moment that dragged politics, loyalty, and celebrity influence into the same explosive sentence. It started during a stand-up set that quickly turned into a viral clip. Hughley, never known for whispering his opinions, referenced the MAGA controversy swirling around Nicki's past political comments and didn't hold back. He questioned celebrity responsibility. He questioned platform power. And he directly implied that aligning, even loosely, with polarizing movements has consequences. Within minutes, Barbs were in full defense mode. Twitter ignited. TikTok stitched the clip into slow-motion reactions. Instagram blogs posted it with siren emojis and captions screaming, "DL goes off!" Nicki's supporters called it disrespectful. They accused Hughley of targeting her unfairly and dragging her name into political drama for laughs. Hughley's supporters fired back harder. They argued comedians have always challenged power, that public figures can't dip into politics and then demand immunity from criticism. And then the clip got worse, or better, depending on your side. Hughley reportedly added, "If you step into that arena, don't act surprised when the crowd reacts." That line detonated, because now this wasn't just about Nicki's alleged MAGA-adjacent controversy. It was about whether artists can publicly flirt with political ideology and then retreat when backlash hits. Nicki hasn't issued a direct response yet. No tweet, no live. No subtweet. Just silence. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when Nicki Minaj stays quiet during controversy, something calculated may be loading. Meanwhile, other celebrities have started choosing subtle sides. A political commentator reposted the clip praising Hughley's courage. A music influencer defended Nicki, saying artists shouldn't be forced into political boxes. The debate has escalated beyond one joke. It's about influence, responsibility, and whether entertainers should be publicly scrutinized for perceived political alignment. Now the question everyone's asking: will Nicki respond directly? Because if she does, this won't stay a comedy clip. It will turn into a full-blown cultural showdown. And based on how fast timelines are moving right now, we're not done yet. The moment DL. Hughley said her name on that stage, you could feel the temperature shift. Because when you bring Nicki Minaj into a political conversation, especially one laced with MAGA controversy, you are not telling jokes anymore. You are lighting matches. It happened during what was supposed to be a routine stand-up set. The crowd was laughing. Hughley was in rhythm. Then he pivoted. He started talking about celebrity influence, political responsibility, and what happens when entertainers flirt with polarizing ideologies. And then he said it. He referenced Nicki by name and questioned why some artists want the benefits of controversy without the smoke that comes with it. The crowd reacted instantly. Half laughter, half gasps. But the real explosion didn't happen in that room. It happened online. Within minutes, someone clipped the moment. Within an hour, it was everywhere. TikTok edits, Twitter threads, Instagram blogs with captions like "DL does not hold back." The Barbs mobilized at record speed. They accused Hughley of clout chasing, of dragging Nicki into political narratives for cheap laughs, of twisting her past statements to fit a convenient punchline. But Hughley wasn't whispering. He doubled down. In the clip that spread fastest, he said, "If you step into that arena, don't be shocked when you get tackled." That line became a digital grenade, because it reframed the entire debate. Was Nicki stepping into the arena, or was she simply expressing personal views that spiraled into something bigger? Fans immediately revisited the MAGA controversy that previously swirled around her. Moments where political commentary, vaccine debates, and social media posts put her in the center of heated ideological discussions. Some defended her fiercely, arguing that asking questions or criticizing government systems does not equal endorsement of a political movement. Others insisted that celebrity voices carry weight, and even perceived alignment can legitimize larger narratives. The debate turned nuclear. Then came the subtler reactions. A political analyst reposted the Hughley clip and wrote, "Comedians still saying what others won't." A music blogger fired back, tweeting, "Why are black entertainers policing each other's politics publicly?" That tweet alone generated thousands of quote replies within hours. And through it all, Nicki stayed silent. No immediate clapback, no Twitter thread, no live session. Save for someone known to respond quickly and fiercely when she feels disrespected, the silence felt strategic. Fans started speculating. Is she preparing a response? Is she ignoring it intentionally? Is legal counsel advising restraint? Because here's the thing about Nicki Minaj. When she responds, she doesn't half-step. She brings receipts. She brings timestamps. She brings heat. So the longer she stays quiet, the more tension builds. Meanwhile, Hughley took his stance further during a radio appearance the next morning. He didn't retract. He didn't soften. He said, "I don't care who you are. If you play in politics, politics plays back." That sentence poured gasoline on the fire, because now this wasn't about a single joke. It was about principle. Hughley framed it as accountability. Nicki's fans framed it as targeting. The internet framed it as war. Hashtags began trending, some supporting Hughley's right to critique, others defending Nicki's autonomy. And then, inevitably, past clips resurfaced. Old interviews where Nicki discussed media narratives. Old tweets where she pushed back against what she saw as misinformation. Old political debates she inserted herself into, sometimes cautiously, sometimes boldly. Each clip was dissected like evidence in a courtroom. The cultural implications grew heavier. This wasn't just a comedy moment anymore. It was about whether black entertainers owe ideological consistency to the public. It was about whether silence equals endorsement. It was about whether comedians get immunity under the banner of humor. And somewhere in the middle of that storm, the personal tension sharpened. Because Hughley's tone wasn't playful, it was pointed. He implied that celebrities who dip into controversial waters shouldn't retreat when backlash hits. Nicki's supporters argued she never retreated, she clarified. Her critics argued clarification often came after pressure. The debate spiraled. Then came a twist no one expected. A fellow entertainer known for avoiding political drama subtly commented under a repost of the clip, "This ain't it." No explanation, but fans immediately interpreted it as support for Nicki. And the comment section erupted again. Lines were drawn, sides chosen. And the longer this went without a direct response from Nicki, the louder the anticipation became. Because the internet knows one thing. When Nicki Minaj feels attacked publicly, she responds. And when she responds, it's rarely subtle. So now everyone is waiting to see if this remains a one-sided critique, or if it transforms into a full-scale celebrity clash involving politics, influence, and reputational firepower. Because if Nicki breaks her silence, this stops being a viral clip and becomes a cultural collision. The silence didn't last. It never does when Nicki Minaj feels publicly challenged. For nearly 36 hours, she said nothing. No tweets, no subtweets, no likes, no cryptic Instagram captions, just stillness. And that stillness made everyone nervous, because when Nicki goes quiet during controversy, history shows it usually means one thing: she's preparing. Then it happened. Not a rant, not a thread, a single post. Black background, white text. "Stop using my name for political punchlines." That was it. No tags. No mention of DL Hughley. But no one needed clarification. Within minutes, timelines exploded again. The Barbs mobilized like a digital army. They clipped Hughley's original stand-up segment and layered it under Nicki's post with captions like "She said what she said." Commentators jumped on live streams instantly. Some framed Nicki's response as measured and direct. Others said it was an indirect dodge, that she addressed tone, not substance. Because Hughley's critique wasn't just about her name. It was about influence, about public responsibility, and whether entertainers can tiptoe around political movements without owning the implications. Nicki wasn't finished. Hours later, she posted again. This time a longer message. She wrote about being misrepresented repeatedly by media narratives and accused unnamed figures of reducing complex discussions into simplistic labels. The word MAGA wasn't written, but it didn't need to be. The context hung heavy in every sentence. She emphasized that questioning systems doesn't equal endorsing ideologies. That nuance gets erased when headlines chase clicks. That artists shouldn't be boxed into narratives they didn't author. And then came the line that shifted the temperature completely. Comedians used to punch up, not sideways. That one sentence detonated, because it wasn't defensive, it was accusatory. The implication? That Hughley wasn't challenging power, he was targeting a fellow black entertainer. Within minutes, Hughley responded. Not on stage, not in a set, on social media, a short video. Calm tone. When I don't punch sideways, I punch truth. That counterpunch electrified the debate. Now it wasn't subtext. It was direct. He didn't name her, but he referenced artists who flirt with controversy and then cry foul when the conversation gets uncomfortable. The back and forth felt less like comedy and more like ideological warfare. Celebrity reactions intensified. One veteran comedian tweeted, "If we can't joke about it, what are we even doing?" A prominent female rapper posted, "Black women always become the debate instead of the point." That tweet alone caused thousands of quote replies arguing about misogyny, accountability, and political nuance. Meanwhile, conservative commentators jumped into the fray, attempting to weaponize the situation for their own narratives. Progressive commentators countered just as loudly. Suddenly, this wasn't about two celebrities, it was about culture. Nicki then did something unexpected. She went live. No warning, no glam, just her, phone in hand. And her tone, controlled but sharp. She said she never aligned herself with any political movement, that she has the right to ask questions without being labelled, that entertainers shouldn't be policed for having opinions outside of music. Then she pivoted. And don't use me to prove a point you couldn't make on your own. That felt personal. Fans interpreted it as a direct shot at Hughley. She didn't shout, she didn't rant, but the subtext was clear. She felt exploited for commentary. During the live, she also referenced how often black women are dragged into political debates they didn't initiate. That shifted the conversation again. Supporters argued she was being unfairly scrutinized compared to male artists who flirted with controversial ideologies without equivalent backlash. Critics argued that influence comes with scrutiny, regardless of gender. Hughley wasn't backing down. During a later interview, he clarified that his critique wasn't about party affiliation, but about consistency. If you step into political waters, don't pretend you're dry when the waves hit. That metaphor trended instantly. Nicki's supporters saw it as condescending. Hughley's supporters saw it as logical. And then the old clips resurfaced. Moments when Nicki publicly challenged media narratives. Moments when she questioned government messaging. Moments when she defended free thought. Each clip became evidence for one side or the other. The internet became a courtroom again. And then came the twist nobody expected. A leaked DM, unverified but widely circulated, allegedly showed someone from Hughley's team reaching out to a media outlet before the stand-up clip went viral. The implication? That the moment was strategically amplified. No proof confirmed it, but the suspicion alone fueled a new wave of anger. Was this organic comedy or calculated controversy? Nicki's fans latched onto the theory instantly. They argued that her name was used intentionally to spark outrage and drive engagement. Hughley's camp dismissed the rumor entirely, but by now the damage was done. Because once strategy enters the narrative, authenticity gets questioned. And authenticity is currency. Now, the cultural debate is bigger than either of them. It's about the line between commentary and targeting, or about whether public figures should expect critique when they wade into politics, about whether comedians are still cultural truth-tellers or just amplifiers of division. And at the center of it all, Nicki's final words during that live, "I don't need political validation, I need respect." That line is echoing across timelines right now, because respect is subjective, and accountability is contested. And something tells me this clash isn't cooling down. It's building towards something sharper. Because when two outspoken public figures refuse to retreat, the next move isn't subtle, it's explosive. The third wave didn't come from a tweet, it came from escalation. Because just when it seemed like the dust might settle between Nicki Minaj and DL Hughley, something shifted from debate to direct confrontation. And this time, there was no subtext. There was no vagueness. There was no room for interpretation. Hughley went on a nationally syndicated radio show and said her name again. Not implied, not hinted, said it. He clarified that his commentary was never about party affiliation. He claimed it was about influence and accountability. But then he added a line that instantly reignited the inferno. When you got millions of followers, you don't get to act like your words are just diary entries. That sentence detonated, because now the critique wasn't abstract. It was pointed squarely at Nicki's platform power. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Nicki's fans interpreted it as patronizing, as if he were minimizing her intelligence, as if he were positioning himself as some cultural referee. And Nicki? She didn't wait this time. She responded within hours. On X, a thread. And if you know Nicki, you know when she threads, she's not playing. She started by addressing Hughley directly. "I've used my platform to empower, uplift, and question narratives that deserve scrutiny." Then she pivoted. "You don't get to decide when my voice is political and when it's not." That line cut deep, because it reframed the argument entirely. It wasn't about MAGA anymore. It wasn't about party lines. It was about autonomy. She continued, accusing certain entertainers of hiding behind comedy to shield themselves from accountability for their own political commentary. That was the turning point, because Hughley has always been openly political. And now she was suggesting he wasn't neutral either. Fans lost it, threads multiplied by the thousands. People started resurfacing old Hughley interviews where he spoke about elections, policy, systemic issues. Now the narrative shifted again. If comedians can critique artists for political nuance, can artists critique comedians for theirs? The battlefield expanded. Then came the most explosive moment yet. Nicki posted a short screen recording, not of Hughley, of headlines. Headlines labeling her MAGA adjacent. Headlines calling her controversial. Headlines framing her as politically aligned without her explicitly claiming affiliation. She captioned it, "Media does the boxing, not me." That post went nuclear. Within an hour, #RespectNicki began trending. Simultaneously, #accountability matters trended alongside it. Two hashtags, two realities. Hughley responded again, but this time his tone was sharper. He accused selective outrage and said, "We can't demand freedom of speech without accepting feedback." Feedback. Nicki interpreted that as framing backlash as justified. She went live again, and this time there was no restraint. She spoke about the double standards black women face when discussing politics. She said male entertainers often get nuance while women get labels. She asked why her questions about institutions became ideological assumptions. And then she dropped a sentence that stunned even her own supporters. If you're so concerned about influence, why don't you start with the system instead of my timeline? That wasn't defensive. It was confrontational. Hughley didn't immediately respond, and for the first time in this entire saga, the power dynamic felt uncertain. Because Nicki wasn't reacting emotionally, she was reframing strategically. Meanwhile, celebrities began quietly choosing sides. A major pop star liked Nicki's thread. A respected journalist reposted Hughley's interview clip. A cultural commentator wrote, "This isn't about MAGA, it's about how we police black voices." That take gained traction fast. The debate now reached academic territory. Op-eds started appearing. Commentators debated the responsibility of celebrity speech in polarized climates. Was Hughley defending civic accountability, or was he publicly singling out a black woman for clicks? Was Nicki deflecting critique, or defending autonomy? Then came a rumor that intensified everything. An alleged insider claimed that Nicki's team reached out to Hughley privately before the radio appearance, asking him to clarify his stance, and that he declined. No proof surfaced. But the suggestion alone painted the conflict as deeper than social media. If true, it means there were off-camera attempts at resolution. And they failed. Now the temperature is hotter than ever. Hughley has upcoming tour dates. Nicki has music rumoured to be dropping soon. Fans are speculating whether this clash will bleed into art. Will she reference him in a verse? Will he incorporate the controversy into his next set? Because make no mistake, both of them know how to weaponize attention. Right now, neither side has retreated. Neither side has apologized. Neither side has softened. And when two outspoken public figures stand firm in public like this, the next move isn't reconciliation, it's escalation. The cultural conversation has shifted beyond one controversy. It's about platform power, media framing, comedy boundaries, celebrity accountability, and who gets to define those lines. Nicki's final words during her live still echo, "I won't be reduced to a headline." Hughley's last radio quote lingers just as loudly. Influence isn't accidental. Two statements, two philosophies, and a collision that doesn't look like it's ending quietly. Because when pride, politics, and public personas collide, the fallout rarely stays contained. The only question now is, who takes the next swing? And when they do, it won't just trend, it will shake timelines all over again. And this right here, this isn't just celebrity shade. This is influence versus accountability. Autonomy versus commentary. Comedy versus consequence. Nicki Minaj says she won't be boxed in. D.L. Hughley says influence demands feedback, and the internet is split straight down the middle. So now I need to hear from you. Was Hughley out of line bringing her into that conversation? Or does celebrity status come with unavoidable scrutiny? Is Nicki defending herself from media framing, or dodging a bigger responsibility? Drop your take in the comments right now. Don't just scroll, speak on it. And make sure you hit that like button if you want more real-time breakdowns like this. Because the second another post drops, another live happens, or one of them takes this even further, we're breaking it down immediately. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next twist. Because if this escalates, and it feels like it might, you're going to want front row seats when it explodes again.